All right. Good morning on this fine Sunday. Yes, I've got some hot coffee too. Mine's got a clown on it.
Mine has nope, my current mood. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I always loved this cup, but I love it even more now because I freaking love that movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, so we woke up to storms this morning. It was rolling through.
We.
Well,
I think I was sleepwalking and it was raining at one point.
okay, yeah, that was like super funny, and
Oh, I heard you laughing.
I have to tell you guys what Ty did.
Uh-huh.
I wake up and he's literally at the other side of the bedroom, not only holding like his phone, but something else. I don't know exactly what it was. Was it a cup or something?
It was just my empty hand.
No, you had your phone in your hand.
Yes, and in the other hand, I was cupping nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought you had something. Anyway, so I'm like, baby, what are you doing? And he says, I'm 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 sleepwalking. Well, that was surprising.
Well, as I was starting to wake up and realize that what I thought was happening wasn't happening as you were asking me.
It was the funniest thing. He was literally thought he was getting up and taking parts off the 3D printers and putting them on the cart where they sit to be cleaned.
Oh, I was mad too. I'm like, why is this in our bedroom?
Which brings us right back to when we first started living together.
Oh no.
And he would get so angry at me because, like, at one point he was screaming at me, "Why is this drywall on the bed?" And I'm like, "It's not drywall, it's my foot. Let go." Yeah, he has some pretty vivid dreams. So, it was,
well, good morning.
good morning. It was hilarious. Anyway, the point is I woke up, the storm's rolling through. And as you can see, we have a beautiful blue sky now, which I love storms. Ty and I both, we love watching them, listening to them, all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually kind of happy because when I look out this way, it's all blue. But when I look out this way, it's still kind of stormy. So it's really pretty right there.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, this and clouds doesn't really matter. But we're good.
Okay. Anyway, so good morning. Dawn is going to be painting pumpkin heads that have been started.
Yeah.
So that they're started, we're going to paint on them some more, and then Dawn is going to snag something else to start painting. Our world building this morning, Dawn doesn't even know yet, because I wouldn't say yesterday what we were going to work on. Oh, yes, spell effects and stuff maybe coming
I
up.
have the full set of spell effects here, all in green resin. So that is my intention, is to get a set of these.
So,
Drive safely, Rock Fan.
yeah, drive safe.
Before I forget.
I meant to say that too. I was cracking up at myself, so yeah.
Love you.
So what we've got going on for world building this morning. So last night we were just about to go to bed. We talked a little bit about what we're gonna test first, because we're gonna run some tests on Fate. I'm trying to figure out which system I want to test as a skin for the plane. Or what we're trying to figure out what game we're going to skin with the plane, I should say. And Fate we're looking at right now. So we were talking about what we would test first, just to see how Fate works. Should we work on something outside of the plane, or should we work on something on the plane? Dawn immediately was like, we should work on something on the plane, right?
Makes perfect sense to me.
And so what I decided we'll talk about today, Dawn's interested in maybe messing around on this first test at Mira's Scar. So
Because why wouldn't we?
I thought this might be a good opportunity to talk. I think this is going to be the second time we've talked about stuff in Mirror Scar. Or maybe I've been like, no, we got to stay away from there for now.
Well, we've talked about it around the edges and things like that. I wrote a campfire story that we're going to be releasing on audio only, I think, on YouTube for it. But I think that's really the only times we've talked about Mirror Scar.
Okay.
It's the only times I remember.
I've thought about it
specifically.
so much that I'm not sure what we've talked about with crowd forgers and what is just in my head.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I need like 5 more of these printed.
Okay.
I love these little handles. Ty printed it on the one of his filament printers, and it's supposed to have a top piece that holds stuff on there, and I like immediately broke that part.
Yeah.
But this piece just fits really, really well in my hand. It's an imitation of the Citadel paint holder or
Yeah, I got
model
the
holders.
I think we got it free on Thingiverse.
Yep. But I don't even really care about having that top part anymore. I just like this versus, I mean, these are super useful.
The pill bottles.
Pill bottles. Either, I finished my pills and I, use it, or it's Amazon. You can buy like the full pill bottle, just a bunch of empty pill bottles. Either way, it works. But I do like the weight of this. It doesn't fall over or anything. So I like this, and I want more of these. Because right now I can only put 4 things together to paint. So,
Finally thought about moving it to your camera.
it's Sunday morning, man.
It feels like Sunday morning.
So before we get too far in, because you've already been talking, I do want to talk about a couple of things really quickly. That,
Sure.
So if you want to put it on my little baby,
I'm sorry.
put it on this camera,
Oh, on your painting
my
camera?
painting camera.
I got you.
So I've got the pumpkins set up on my little thing and just left them from what we did last night. I've got all of my spell effects here. Treasure. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. But I've got 4 of them set up on my holders because that way I can kind of go through and do the same step on each piece to get all the bottoms done and then start working on the tops. But also, for the first time, I have finally printed out this little guy. He's a raptor in a turkey costume. Is he not freaking adorable? I love this guy.
Pretty great.
So I think next week, this is what I'm going to be painting on Saturday. And this is the cardboard man we were talking about yesterday.
That you might get to today, too?
I don't know if I will or won't because I really want to get these spell effects done. But what I did was this is his standard size. And this is his little base. Is that not the cutest little thing? He made himself a castle. It's so cute. But this is his standard size, but I wanted to be able to kind of really show off what I was doing a little bit better. So.
Standard size is the smaller one.
Yes, this one over here. So I enlarged him for me to print or to paint on the show. So, and he still fits on his little castle base.
Oh, is the base the same size it would be?
Yeah, the base is the same size. I just wanted him to be a little bit larger so they could see, because like he's got strips of tape going around where they've taped the box on.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cute. So between those 2 and this guy, those will be, if I finish the pumpkins and then the spell effects, I'll move on to probably the cardboard guy. But if not, those are what I'll be working on Saturday next
Saturday.
week. Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
So
I'm excited about the cardboard guy.
I know. I'm really kind of excited. But I am actually going to step away for a moment because one of the things that I want to do on the pumpkin eyes is give them different eyeballs.
Yeah.
To give them a different look. And one of them, I really want to do like a cataracts look. And if you ever look at an eye that has cataracts, you can see the iris, that outside circle still.
Uh-huh.
But it has kind of a blue tone over the whole thing. Well, I happen to have a Citadel contrast paint that is apothecary white, but when it dries, it has a blue tone to it. So that's kind of like the perfect paint to use for a cataract eye, I think. So I left it on my other painting area. So I'll be back.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about
Yes.
Mira's Scar, at least a lead up to it, so that people understand what it is. Excuse me, I still have a cough. So Mira's Scar is this enormous canyon. I mean, like most things on Cathar, right? Everything is so big. Just as a refresher, let me switch over here. Yay, we can see my cursor. So as we've talked about many times before, the plane is so large to walk, and you pretty much have to walk. They haven't really devised a way other than walking with dog oxen pulling their land ship to travel from this edge of the plane to this edge of the plane. That's about 20 years. So you can imagine this canyon on here is really big. We're talking months to go from one side of the canyon to the other. Now, the problem with that, before we get in too far and too deep, is you have to keep in mind that as far as we know, no one's ever done that and survived. Telling you how big it is, you know, it's what I say, like 8 months, I think, somewhere around that. It's months, maybe not quite a year, but months to go across that. And as far as we know, no one has survived that attempt. I think we have kind of stayed away from this one. Excuse me. But yeah, I think it's time to dive in. I want to say that we did jump in because I remember mentioning to folks that there's some maybe dinosaurish kind of stuff going on down there. But anyway, it's very wide. It's long, obviously. It's very long if you look at the scope of that on the plane. It's very, 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 very long. And most of it is so deep that you can't see the bottom.
We talked about that.
Mm-hmm. Right around this area, just loosely following my cursor there, it is shallow enough that you can see the bottom. Plants are actually growing there. And
Giggling at Rock Band.
They really need to get on those airships. Yeah, well, they got to figure out a way to fly without being attacked by other things, or ways to defend against that, right? Yeah. That's a big problem right now. Is they're figuring out hot air balloons and stuff, but tests at the moment go kind of badly.
I'm shaking up I put the BBs in, so I'm shaking them up, but I'm trying to get away from the microphone so that you don't hear.
I don't think it's too bad.
You know, and Rock Fan, you have to keep in mind too that the skies are kind of ruled by the sky jellies, and it's one of those things where they're not exactly ruled by it, but
they're ruled by it in the sense that, like, elephants rule the savannah. But
exactly
elephants, while they're frightening, if you're out in the wild, right, are not as bad as, say, a cheetah or a crocodile or something like that, right?
Right. So, but you have to keep in mind that these sky jellies, they take up so much space. They're just absolutely enormous. And they just don't care if you're there or not there.
Yeah.
It's if you run into them, they're gonna eat you.
Yeah, you're gonna get in their tendrils.
They're fine. They just don't care.
Yeah, they're not coming for you.
Right.
But they'll defend themselves.
It's sort of the way I think about it is that exact line from Independence Day. You know, why would aliens come out of their way to come step on an anthill? And the other guy's response, I mean, I'm butchering the line, but the other guy's response is, yeah, but how guilty would you feel about going to step on an anthill?
Right.
That's kind of how they feel, is we're ants to them. They just are like, I don't even really notice you.
And sky jellies are a problem for airships because they're so big. Mm-hmm. But you can navigate around them.
You can navigate around.
The problem are the crocodiles in the sky. Things like, or the piranha. There you go. The mass darters.
The mass darters is a huge
big problem. But there's other things too that are very sharky-like that are looking for something to eat up there.
Because I mean, if you think about it, the mass darters are not really all that large, but they're the main reason that sky jellies have these islands on their back, is these freaking mass darters. Mm-hmm. There's swarms of piranha in the sky.
Right.
And the last thing I want to be doing is floating along and running into swarm of piranha, because in you've got to have some power to be able to outrun them, and they're not slow any means.
No, they'll dive bomb you before you even realize they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
So the couple of problems with the high speed travel across the plane itself, not just the engineering things that they're just starting to figure out, but the skies are difficult because of the fauna. And then if you think about why don't they just make a steam train or something like that, which they are getting into a little bit, just barely. As far as going across the plane, this great sand slip that you see goes the entire eastern edge of the plane. The problem with that guy is that you couldn't put tracks across it. The tracks that you put across the sands are only going to last not even a day. They're going to start to go under the sand. That's why when people are crossing on foot, when they're crossing the Great Sand Slip, they do not stop. That takes about a month, if I remember, at its shortest points, like here near Longshore, takes about 4 weeks, and people just work in shifts. Somebody's always awake. They're always moving. They're always just, and it's a good thing the dog oxen can handle that sort of thing. Rockfan says maybe something that conducts a moderate electric shock to deter flying creatures. Zappity. A bug zapper, yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of the point, Rockfan, of the time that we're in right now, is all of these things, we're developing them, but that's because they're thinking of these things and they're testing these out.
Yeah.
It's sort of like
they're in a big age of discovery and invention right now.
So it's the same thing with the oh crap, I just lost the name of it, baby. The underwater thing.
The river crawler.
The river crawler, thank you. Which is aptly named, but I just forgot the name of it. It's it's in development now. They're trying to figure out, okay, well, this is actually a sound idea and it's working. So what else can we do with it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the
Ooh, no storms, never mind.
Yeah, the storms could be bad too, but I mean, I think they'll figure out ways to navigate around or through those things as well. It's just where they're at, and it took them longer to get there than us, and that's again because of distance between each other and the fauna and some of the flora even, and just being so dangerous that what took us less than 2,000 years to get to has taken them about 3,000 years. Because it's just that much harder to live here, right? But yeah, as far as trains and stuff like that, I mean, I've already started considering places where people might try to work on that sort of thing once they get their tech perfected, and
yeah.
But it's not going to be a simple thing, right?
No, and I mean, I can see a couple of trains being developed off the plane to make travel quick between, the north and
other
the
towns.
south.
That's obviously what they're going to do first, right?
Right, exactly.
In fact, I'll just tell you, the tests that are being run right now are going between towns that are a couple of weeks apart. So already they're going to have tech with that takes their 2 weeks of walking time and or not even walking time, really. I mean, because they can use faster creatures to pull wagons faster than dog oxen and stuff, right? So a little under 2 weeks, but now takes them a few days to get between those towns. That's huge in this place because everything is so far apart.
Well, and I could even see things, we're completely off subject, but I don't care. This is fun. I could see people, developing, of course, you've got a bicycle, but then you get a treadmill that will pull. So getting, I could see people trying to develop something like there's a treadmill inside the land ship where the dog ox is supposed to be sleeping, but the dog ox is running on the treadmill or walking on the treadmill there, and it's turning wheels on the outside.
For props.
So,
For props?
No, so it's moving the land ship.
Oh, a land ship. I
on
understand.
The ground, just like a normal land ship would, except the dog ox is protected inside at night. So you got one dog ox sleeping and one dog ox walking.
That is really cool.
But, I can see things like this being trying to be tested and developed, especially these land ship companies are like, oh, and you could do, we've got enough room to house 4 dog ox inside here, so 2 can be sleeping and 2 can be walking. So you can cut your travel time in half. That's your selling point.
Yeah, they're absolutely
this,
That's great. See, the funny thing is, I don't even think you read the river crawler thing, or did you? Maybe I read it to you.
You read it to me.
Yeah. So one of the biggest innovators of like.
See you soon, rock band.
Yep, seeing a little bit. See, one of the biggest innovators as far as other things go outside of land ships even is a land ship builder. Tolson's Land Ship is one of the leaders, if not the leader, in building the river crawler we were just talking about. They picked up a patent right away. I don't want to give up too much subscription info yet.
Right,
but,
yeah.
But Tolson's, who I'll also give up a little bit more. Tolson's is such a great company as far as innovation goes. Pretty much Longshore exists because of choices that Tolson's made to go there and start a land ship company long ago. It's not the only reason, but it's a huge reason. So yeah, they're very into new engineering. That's what they're into. They're very happy about all the invention and stuff that's going on right now that they can take advantage of for mobility and exploration and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm actually really excited about what you were just talking about with the treadmill thing on the inside. The only thing, not the only thing, we'll have to develop that a little bit, I think. Like, what does that look like? Because right now, pretty much, if you look at a regular land ship, is like a big wagon. The dog oxen, if you want to go right, the dog oxen are going to pull it to the right. They don't have steerage, They're just a big yanked wagon that has can be flipped between the wheels they have out most of the time and skids for certain instances where they need to slide across something as opposed to roll over it. All right, yeah, you're right. We did get a little bit veered off, but that's the fun of world building, isn't it?
Right.
So what I think we're going to talk about, at least to begin with, and we may switch to something else. We get a bunch of people on and the subject veers, or it feels like we're getting to the end of this one. Obviously, if we get 5 or 6 people on, then as I mentioned yesterday, we'll move on to this giant storm. You see my cursor. This storm travels from this northern edge of Mira's Scar like this. It kind of hits the bottom of the plateau, and then it heads south, and then comes back to the Scar, and then just follows the edge up around here. And I'm also mentioning this too because one of the sections from Mira's Scar's notes that I have is weather. This is going to affect weather. In fact, we've already talked about how the mining town that we were crowd forging on Wednesday, I think it was. Yes, it was Wednesday. It's right around here. Even its weather, it gets big sandstorms that are affected by this giant storm that just travels around in a big circle here. It takes years to do it, but it just follows the same path.
That's one of those things that I think I would love to kind of be maybe the next thing we add to the map is that storm somewhere.
The storm.
Because that's one of the things that we do for our Patreon is we, randomly update. It's not random.
It's not random. Every other month we've been doing it.
We've been updating.
We probably
the map,
should have done it this month, but next month we could do it, and we can add. We've got things like Wellview to add. We have our new mining settlement that we just need to our community. I don't know what else to call it. It's not exactly a town, right?
I think community works perfect.
We've got our mining community we need to name and place around here. And then, our storm, which needs named. Man, I just hope we get some people interested soon for the Sunday. It's new for us. We were working on Tuesday and Wednesday. But we get a chunk of people on, we're definitely going to talk about this storm that has its own ecosystem inside of it.
Yeah, I would love to name it.
Okay, so let me bring up notes then. And show what you're working on too. We haven't even, you've already started and I was so busy showing the map and blah, blah, and on.
I'm just working on eyeballs. So basically all I did was I picked up each individual one, and this one is going to be the one with the, you want to
That was loud.
do you want to refocus like right here?
I'm not promising I can focus for you any better than that.
So what I did was 2 of them have brown eyes, and I'm working on 2 that have blue eyes. This one over here is going to be the one that's going to have the cataracts. So what I did was I put brown, but I kind of wiped away a bunch. Oh, I didn't mean zoom in, but that's fine too. That looks much better. Thank you. So what I did was I put the brown around, but then I kind of wiped out the center. So when I put that clear, or not the clear coat, the contrast paint over it, you should still see that brown kind of hinted back there, which is the way cataracts kind of look. So right now I'm just making eyeballs.
Back up just up there. That looks good though, huh?
Yeah, I think so. And these are all just literally glued onto a stick so that I can hold on to them quite well.
All right. So the sections that I've started, and we may end up with some other ones. Like, it always seems like we end up with a miscellaneous section once folks start chiming in, because, you know, I can't think of everything.
If you could, we wouldn't be doing this.
Wouldn't we though? I don't know. This has been fun.
Yeah, we'd still be doing this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So for Mirror Scar, I've got kind of our typical sections: flora, fauna, minerals, weather, and legends and campfire stories is, I think, for when we're talking about regional things like this, is going to start to come one of my typical notes, just because if somebody's got an idea and we enjoy it, campfire stories are going to be very important. Hopefully in marketing the plane, but also as content, I think, and I think we talked about this recently.
Yeah, we were talking about that Wednesday.
Inspiration for your tabletop games later, whenever we skin one of these tabletop systems with the plane.
Yeah, because I can definitely see how these campfire stories can easily lend themselves to quest starters, you know?
Yep. Yeah, and interesting stories that, you know, your players haven't read all the campfire stories, but they meet somebody out on the plane or anywhere on Mira's Mira Dalal. Could be content for, you know, you meet some guy at a campfire, he shares his fire with you, and he's got this story. I just think these are going to be really important for quest starting, for interaction with your NPCs and PCs.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to be fun and important. So anyway, this time though, instead of just campfire stories, I added it as legends. While legends can become our campfire stories too, maybe we do just have a little less structured, rather than my friend's cousin had this happen to them sort of format. It is just a, you know, they say.
Right, yeah. Those would be fun too.
Nate the Adventurer, morning everyone. How is everything going today? Pretty good. We're just getting started. Rock fans on the way home. Hopefully they'll jump back on shortly again. But we are painting pumpkin heads, and we are crowd forging Mira's Scar this time. Let me bring the map up again here. Mira's Scar is this ginormous canyon that cuts across the southeastern section of the planet. Very large. It takes months to travel from one edge of the scar to the other. Right around this section, you might do it. This is the most shallow section where you can actually see the bottom and it looks like there's trees and bushes growing. Most of Mira's Scar, though, is too deep and dark to see what's going on down there. Oh, let me just knock down all of my equipment. So that's what we're talking about this morning, and that's what Dawn is painting this morning. These awesome pumpkins. We can't wait. We just love Halloween month so much.
Well, and also remember what I want to do is have like at least 20 of these painted because during the month of October, normally we ship out a free base with every order. During the month of October, I want to ship out a pumpkin with every order, and randomly it will have some that are painted and some that aren't. Most won't be, but I'd like to have at least 20 people get a painted pumpkin.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So that's a lot of pumpkins to paint. Because I've literally just got these 4 is all I've got painted, even remotely started painted yet. But I was kind of using these 4 as a test where I can glue them onto these sticks, use my foam here, and just kind of knock between them, and this is working really well for me. So
I'm going to add an environment section because one of the things that I don't think I've even mentioned to you, Dawn, but one of the interesting features of Mira's Scar is that as you're approaching it, you start to notice things get warmer. And it's almost like heat rolling up out of Mira's Scar.
Oh, I like that. I remember I don't have gloves on today, so I can't just paint on my finger like I normally do.
Do you want some gloves?
No, I'm good. I'm just trying to be good and not use my hand as a palette. I even actually bought myself a little palette that slips on your hand right here. And I guess I have a fat thumb because it pinched like really badly. I didn't use it for very long. The theory behind it was awesome. It's actually made for makeup. So you can put your makeup on your palette here. It's made for makeup artists, so they can have their makeup on their palette and be doing this.
Oh, I remember that.
Makeup people and painters kind of do the exact same.
Right.
And we definitely steal each other's tools.
Go ahead and make a note of what I've already said here, that most of the canyon is too deep to see anything other than a dark line. It's really just like a black line at the bottom. You can't see the bottom. Now, obviously, as I said, the one section near the middle, it's not anywhere near as deep, and you can kind of see shadowy trees and stuff like that growing down there. And you cannot, I think I've mentioned this before, you can't see the other edge. If you're standing on the edge of the canyon, you can't see the other edge of the canyon.
Yeah, you have said that before.
It's just too big. Figure if it's going to take you a month to cross, that's pretty big. Are there dinosaur roars coming from within? It's a lost world. It is. You've actually hit. There's a dinosaurish thing. I mean, this isn't Earth. This is Kethar, but they have some similar life going on. And as far as roars and stuff, I don't know. I have some things in mind, but we can talk about that right now. So actually, I'll Sarashian. Oh, Philippe is now following.
Thank you, Philippe.
Thanks for being around and hanging out with us. I'm not familiar with. I'm gonna have to look that up. Sarashian creatures. Is that's not like a sentient dinosaur or anything? I don't don't know for sure that we. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we would want to do that.
The all I can think of is the like it's half dinosaur, half people with that word that I can't say that Nate typed in.
Oh, they're large herbivores such as. Oh boy, here we go. Apatosaurus and Diplodocus. We did that. So Nick, our son Nick, would have understood what was going on here exactly.
Nate, I would like to thank you for taking the opportunity to give Ty difficult words to say.
Yeah, that's
That
fun
is
for everyone.
Normally, Golden and Gareth take care of that for us, but I appreciate
They give me lots of Norse things to say.
somebody else stepping in and making those difficult things for Tyler.
Nate says its literal translation is reptile hipped. Diplodocus apatosaurus. What? Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one.
Nope.
Nope.
Wait, I'll let my coffee cup say it for me.
Or better Diplodocus. Diplodocus. Oh, I see. So I said that one wrong too. I do better at the Norse. Yeah, so I've thought from the very beginning that this would be exactly that, Nate, the adventure, that it would be a kind of Lost World thing. If you're familiar with the Tepuis, the plateaus, the big flat top mountains, so they've grown up and they kind of have their own ecosystem up there. This is similar, but its ecosystem went down with it. In South America, yes. Oh, Greek Latin words are hard. Yeah.
English words are hard for me. You guys gotta help me here.
Nate says yes. It's where Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World story takes place. So yeah, I think it's similar to that dinosaur-ish type creatures, but not only that. I have some other ideas when we get to it as well. Although if somebody else gets there before me, I'm gonna let them have credit. I know some of you guys haven't been around for the crowd forging before. When you throw ideas in, first of all, just keep in mind that we are going to try and develop the best, coolest, funnest stuff into first short stories, novels, novellas. The story we're working on right now is a novella, Tara Olds. And then by this time next year, hopefully, we're releasing game content over an as of yet unsighted open gaming system for tabletop. So,
No, but we are getting close to testing.
yeah, we're going to test Fate pretty soon. Just don't know which version of Fate yet. I keep thinking of the old TV show, The Land of the Lost. Nate says, I remember that. Saturday mornings. It was already old. It was like reruns or whatever, but I remember seeing those. And the Slee Stack. Yeah. Yeah, the Dino People. That's a system I've not tried. I was just about to ask, too, has anybody tried... Right, 1974. Like, I was a year old when it was new, but I remember seeing Saturday morning reruns, 8 years later, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, I was just about to ask if anybody's tried any of the Fate systems and what they thought of it. So far I've gone through Fate Accelerated. I'm looking at Condensed now, but I probably won't go all the way through Condensed. My guess right now, at least, is I won't go all the way through Condensed before I decide. I'm just going to go to Core and start on it. I know that's where I probably should have started, is what most people are thinking right now, but I was like, hey, if Accelerate's like 50 pages, if I get that system and it works, then why not, right? Anyway, so we're trying to do that. And we'll stream our tests as well. Hello, Sawdust.
That one got me.
I forgot we had sound effects. Okay, where were we at? I got dinosaur in there for a moment. Not even in the right file. Here we go. Okay, so I will take notes on that, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not completely sold on like sentient dinosaurs quite yet, but that doesn't mean the right things happen and I don't change my mind. I can't think of what it was, but something happened at one time.
I was gonna say there was something that you and I were talking about, and you're like, no, I don't think I want to do that. And the more I brought it up, they were like,
We should
okay,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is now.
I don't remember either, but
it was a while back.
it took me a while to sell you on the idea, but I did.
So since I know we've got some new folks here, if you don't want your ideas to be used, the important part I was trying to get to is don't share them, because if you're sharing them here, we're going to try and fit things in that people want to see. It's not that we're trying to steal from you. We're going to develop them. We just want you to throw something at the wall and we'll see if it sticks. So if you're actually interested in sentient dinosaurs, let me know, Nate, and I will add a note for you for that. Excuse me. So yes, that is a possible on the fauna. Well, first of me is that dinos.
Nate said, no, I'm good. No need for sentient dinosaurs.
So the dinos for sure, I've been thinking something like that.
Aw, thank you, Sunbaran.
Thank you, Sunbaran, for the 300 bits.
Oh, little babies, little baby.
Not little babies, man. They were bombs.
Oh, the puppy almost went back in.
Knocked the puppy head out. So I know that dinos are going to be down there. The sections we're going to talk about, and we'll add new sections if you have other ideas for things, right? But right now what we've got is flora, fauna, minerals, weather, because it's big enough that it's going to kind of have its own thing down in there, especially since it's affected by that storm that just keeps running between the plateau and Mira's Scar. But then also because Mira's Scar itself has got all this heat coming up out of it, right? So it's going to have its own things occurring because of that. Environment, if we think of something environmental, you can kind of think of it as geographical or whatever. You have some interesting ideas there. Any geographical oddities? It's 4 weeks though, or I'm sorry, 8 months though, not 2 weeks. And then of course, like I said, our sort of legends and campfire stories is going to become a big part of, especially when we're talking about regional things, towns, stuff like that are notes that we would want to capture for cultural reasons, right?
Nate is asking about a big water source nearby. Do you want to pull the map back up?
So it's not on the map yet, but the canyon actually does have a river that runs from north to south through it. There's some other interesting things dealing with that. Oh, there we go. But again, if somebody crowd forges it, I'm going to toss it in there for their name, but otherwise I'm going to hide it as a secret for the moment. It'll be fun. But yes, so if you're looking at the canyon, we know there's a water source in there, even though it's difficult to see because it's so black down there. But I can tell you there's a river going through there.
That's one of those things that I think that at a certain point, walking along that top edge, the water will eventually be high enough to not be visible, but have a rushing, roaring water sound.
Yeah, or some sound.
That's what I'm saying. But because it's echoing in a funky way, that people wouldn't know it's water.
Yeah, so like we were just watching Unexplained, and they talked about that mountain in Russia where the campers, terrible things happen to them. The name of that mountain, the locals call it Don't Go There.
Yeah.
But they were talking about infrasounds that could be caused by the wind that rushes through there. So maybe you're up top and you can hear the river, but you don't recognize it as a river necessarily.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the same sort of thing that happens in our neighborhood. Our neighborhood's actually called Dawn Valley. I know, right? But it's actually called the Valley because our neighborhood sits down and we've got a hill behind us, a hill on this side. So all of these weird noises, like there's actually on the hill that's on that side of us, they're building storage sheds or something. And the construction, it's just normal construction sound. but it sounds monstrous.
Yeah.
It's this big booming bam, boom, boom, and it's bouncing off the hill behind us and coming back this way. So it sounds like there's construction going all around us. And then the funny thing is it sounds like these big horrific noises and so loud and so crazy. Keep in mind, our house is directly, I when I go out my front door, I'm looking at the hill that they're doing the construction on. But if I drive on the street that's in front of the construction that is the same level of that construction, it's just boom, boom, bang,
Yeah, normal.
normal
sounding.
noises. Nothing.
But it is definitely intensified down here.
It is really intensified down here. So I'm like wanting to play with that idea of those sounds echoing and hitting things and coming up in these weird ways that makes them, maybe it is something perfectly normal. Maybe it's not, because they don't recognize what the hell that is. And that, kind of what you were saying is that could lend to some kind of pretty crazy legends about stuff down there.
So Nate's gonna crowd forge in our first thing here. We're gonna put this in environment. Nate the Adventurer says one of the things that we would be needed to keep the warm tropical temperatures is some high humidity. So maybe there are a lot of geysers spread throughout the canyon to increase the temperatures and water amounts. I dig it.
Again, those geysers have funky ass noises. So
Yeah.
that would be fun to play with too.
And I can see that. So one of the things I've established, I believe in a previous session, is that the part where you can see, let me switch over to that real quick. The part right around, well, I got to switch here too. Right around here where you can actually see trees and bushes, it's still a long climb down, but it's not just a big black mass down there, rather. That is sort of arid looking. There's still heat coming up out of there, but it's sort of more desert-like almost. But the rest of this is kind of open for things like this, these geysers. All this switching. I got to switch different applications and switch the windows. So it could be an elevated plateau within the scar itself. Yes. That's pretty much what it is. I think I missed some stuff here. Oh yeah, you're talking about the Atlav Pass incident. That's exactly what we were talking about. The Doppler effect. Yeah, I think the Doppler effect, as far as how it's affecting the sound, you mean as you're passing by, maybe? Or I guess the Doppler effect is also about how far away from the sound source you are. How far away from that source you are, rather.
Stop spinning.
That would push it further from the humidity while retaining the heat due to the geothermals rising. Yep. Making things extremely loud. Yeah, okay, I gotcha. Indeed, and it also changes the pitch of the sound in relation to you as you move. Right, yeah, so and that's what I think of when I think of the Doppler effect, is two cars passing each other, that sort of thing. Or you're walking down the road and a car passes you. That's a really good Doppler effect. Yeah, I like this idea, especially, so we know the river's there. You start thinking about what you were saying, Dawn, right? And you can hear this roaring, but it doesn't sound like a river roaring, and maybe it's partly because of distance, the walls of the canyon, and other sounds like these geysers exploding water and shoots up into the darkness,
Yeah. And I could see how these geysers shooting up this water and stuff at the right time of the year would intensify the storm because it's feeding it.
Oh, maybe it's got some temperature stuff coming off the geysers. The storm just happens to be near the edge of the scar or something and starts fueling this guy up even more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I gotta crack my back. I have the worst posture when I'm Well, I just have bad posture. I have really bad posture when I'm painting. So my shoulder blades get super stiff. Excuse me.
I dig it. Nate says, "Oh yeah, because the variance in temperature between the floor of the scar and the plains surrounding it, you would get some extremely fierce storms, possibly a lot of tornadic activity. It would make it extremely dangerous to even get close to enter the canyon during the storms." Um, yeah, I think all the weather. So we've talked some. Let me go back here again. Wednesday, we were developing a mining community that's sort of sprawled through this area on the edge of the plain, and it's affected by things like sandstorms. And these sandstorms are affected by this big storm that rolls around like this. It takes decades. It's not a time of the year. Here on Earth, it would be a time of the year. It's spread over years how long it takes to make this track around this area. So I'm thinking what it probably does, based on what we've discussed so far, is this guy comes over here and sort of starts to cool off as it gets towards the plateau, and then it travels back south, and then it gets sucked towards the southern end of Mira's Scar so it can refuel, and then follows it up and gets big again over the course of, like I said, decades, right? But yeah, it is interesting to think if you're coming from the east towards the Scar, and the storm is following the edge of the western edge of the Scar, like what are you looking at there? What kind of environment does that seem like? It might be crazy. Well, first let me get your notes up here. Put that under weather. Burp.
No teethers. This one's only got 2 teethers. Working on all these details, and Ty's like typing really, really hard today.
I'm helping you paint.
No, you're not.
So almost like the eye on Saturn. Yeah, so it is based on Jupiter's storm. That's right. This idea is based on Jupiter. And this storm we mentioned earlier. I know that we have a few more people on. We're going to crowd forge this storm as soon as we get a regular Sunday crowd going of at least 5 people, 5 or 6 people, because it's going to be a pretty big topic, I think. Where even if if we get 5 or 6 people and I've announced we're going to talk about blah, we're going to switch to the storm. Because this guy has its own ecosystem inside of it that just follows the storm. It lives full time in the storm.
Storm will provide.
It's going to be a lot of fun to crowd forge that. So Nate says, pretty sure the storms would be so intense along the western side that it would quite possibly create tales of the gods of good and evil fighting on the edge of the world. That's fun. Yeah, it's going to feel like you're on the edge of the world when you're somewhere like that, right? I think it still comes on weather.
Oh, I think that goes in the legend.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, let's put it in legends. Because that would be good for maybe a little piece of content that we can develop a little bit for one of the campfire stories we've already got planned. Possibly, right? I'm going to shorten you to just Nate so that I can type faster for the moment. But it's still your credit. So.
Support left in there. 2.
My mind's wandering towards standing on the edge of this thing and trying to figure out why did the weather get so bad in the last few days. Nate says, I wouldn't want to be there. The wind shear on the western side would be so strong as to blow you into the scar. That would not be a great end. No, and I don't imagine. Actually, I can imagine you don't realize, which would be, people are aware of the storm. They kind of know where it is and try to stay away from it. But if something happened where you ended up north of the storm as it's following the edge of the scar up, you're going to get in there. You're going to be in there. Probably going to overtake you pretty quickly, unless you've found some much faster travel than what we're aware of.
You know what my head immediately went to is the young man proving himself sort of thing of, let me stand here. How brave are you? How long can you stand there without running away? Sort of test of manhood sort of thing.
What? In that thing? Oh. So you'd be talking about something like the nomadic tribe, or tribes rather, that would maybe follow that kind of test.
Yeah.
See, where am I at? Nate says falling a mile plus into the scar would just be a bad way to go. Yeah. That culture's extinct, he says.
Not there, it isn't.
Well, we'll see what that looks like when we develop the storm, because I'm going to make a miscellaneous note on that, though, actually. No, I'm going to add a culture section in case there's something else that comes. I don't want to forget that idea.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Well,
Call it a standing in the storm. Yeah, and I'll just let this much go. The reason I'm excited about eventually getting to work on Storm is, in the game sense, it's going to be kind of like a big dungeon.
Yeah.
In general, no, people don't go in there. But, adventurers are going to find a reason to go in there.
Right? GMs are going to find a reason to send them in there.
Absolutely.
To be more clear.
Surely. Why wouldn't you? You would, wouldn't you? If that's their test of manhood, no one makes it to manhood. There is going to be a way to get in there, though. We've already established that there's a whole nother thing going on the inside of that storm. So anyway, we got that note. I'll have to remember about that when we work on the storm, I think. Probably more that.
I'll hold this up high. Sorry.
So,
I'm shaking the whole camera when I'm trying to shake my paint.
Oh, okay. So Nate says, when it comes to flora, I think large bromeliads and cicads, orchids, and vines. One thing of note should be a lot of giant carnivorous plants. Just add some extra spice of danger. And that's what I'm holding back, waiting to see if somebody else mentioned the big carnivorous plants. I want there to be a little bit of dangerous plant stuff going on down there in the dark. Because you figure plants down there are getting energy geothermally rather than from the sun. So they're gonna try to find other ways to survive. Right? They're gonna try to pull from other sources of energy.
The way you just stated that, I just thought of another legend thing that would definitely happen.
based on the plants. Can you hold on to it for a minute while I catch
Absolutely,
up?
yeah. I'm reading too, so.
So Sunbaron says, what if there's a plant in the scar that looks a bit like bamboo, but is full of soft mushroom-like texture, and when exposed to light, it cooks itself like a self-sustaining hot pocket? What?
That's kind of fun.
That is fun.
There's a reason to go down there already. Look, all
Hot
you have to
Pockets.
do is pick it and do like this in the sunlight, and you have lunch.
That is fun. So people can gather it in the darkness, in the dark cases, as a delicacy.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, guys.
So we understand what you're saying here too. Is you're talking about discovery that hasn't happened yet because people don't go down there. Just so everybody understands, people don't go down there yet.
Yeah.
You know, just like eventually, obviously, we keep talking about things. People will figure out a way to fly. We know that's going to happen. Right now, people cannot fly across the plane to shorten these huge distances. But it will happen. And so this is a good way of crowd forging what will happen once people do figure out maybe there is a way to get down in the bottom of Mira's scar and survive. And why would they do that? Because of this kind of food or something, right? Nate says large conifers, kapok trees, rubber trees, ramon trees, zate trees. Seen that word before.
Oh, I think I know what tree that is.
Yeah.
I think it's the one that like it's protected. I think in Australia.
Oh,
I don't know if it's the same tree or not. I know. I just remember there was we watch a lot of weird shows, and they were building houses, and this guy was designing a house, but the only plot on his area in his land that he could put a house, there was one of these trees, and he couldn't disrupt this tree, so he literally built his house around the tree, so that it had room to grow, it had room to do all the things it needed to do, but he was living around it.
I forgot to put our message on. I'm sorry, guys. Give me one moment. Gotta let people on Etsy know that we can't answer them. I forgot.
I'm doing a
Sorry.
dot on the eyeball, so type more gently.
Just don't see that happening. Okay, I added the message. You don't have to beat me. 1 second. I know you're about to come up with your idea. I just gotta get through these.
You still got
Okay.
a lot to get through.
Nate says kapok trees. Give those. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I skipped. I took the note on what Sunbjorn said that like as a highly monetary reason. I think that's perfect. It's like truffles, right? Something that's
Right.
hard to get, but rich people really want, maybe, right? So kapok trees from Nate. Kapok trees give those really awesome trunks and roots that you always see in movies. That's cool.
Oh, one.
We definitely want things to be weird and stuff while you're down there, right? So some version of that. Another reason to go down there is there are extremely rare alchemical materials, spell component materials in there. The only place on the continent currently to find these components. Oh, that is fun. So, magic, like we think of here, is not a thing on Cathar. But they kind of do have it in that they've figured out other things about the science of their world that seems very magical that just handfuls of people understand. Like the Stormkeeper, which I think we can release pretty soon, is going to be an adventuring class. So let me put that over there. I'll take that note in just a moment. The Stormkeepers are people who have learned that they can essentially make a localized cloud seed that goes above the battlefield, and then using minerals and crystalline materials and things like that within their daggers and boomerangs and whips and weapons like that, they create maybe small damage with the weapon, but then there's big additional damage that comes along with it, which is produced by the storm above their heads. So, in a sense, it's magical, but it's very much science, the way that they're doing it. So, yeah, this is like another perfect reason why adventurers certainly might want to go down to the bottom of Mira's Scar. And you know what? Even though there may be things other than mineral, I'm going to go ahead and add this note to minerals. Dawn, you want to talk about what you're about to?
I can't see the screen. There we go. Actually, no, I'm going to address another question here. Nate asked, do you guys get complaints about how loud your typing is while you're streaming? People say it sounds like a gunshot going off. I don't know if you're saying that for people say that on your stream, or if people are saying, if you think it sounds like his typing sounds like that. I'm not sure. But the main problem that I have
in my streams, he says.
Oh, okay. The main problem I have with Ty's typing is, you guys are, my little camera right here, you guys are going to go for a ride here. So this is my painting area. Oh, no, you're not, because guess what? I forgot we strapped that down. So this is my painting area right here. You look directly across there. I can angle. That's Ty over there. So what is happening, because we're sharing the same desk, when I'm doing details and he starts banging, it's shaking my area, and I'm bracing my hands and everything down on this. So he's shaking the area and my hands, and I'm like, eyeballs, don't do that. So that's my main problem with, I'm having bra strap issues, guys. I'm sorry. Like one of them's twisted or something. It's killing me. Anyway, that's my main problem with his typing, is it's actually not all that loud to me.
Yeah, you shouldn't hear it in my mic. I've got noise gate on.
Yeah, so the sound of it doesn't really bother me. It's the fact that we're sharing a desktop, so it affects everything there.
Nate says it's okay, fix it. We don't care. You need to be comfortable while streaming. Yeah, hopefully you guys don't hear me typing.
No, he meant the.
Yeah, I'm going back to the subject.
You guys don't give a shit.
But I think everybody used to hear it until I learned that, oh, we've got noise suppression and noise gate filters and OBS we can use. So
yeah,
hopefully it shouldn't hear it, at least not often. Yeah, I use noise gate. I use noise suppression too.
So, and back to what Ty asked me to do, I am starting up my my spell effects. So basically, they all have like a brick floor.
I'm gonna get coffee while you're talking.
Mm-hmm. They all have brick floors, or not brick. Well, I mean, it is like cobblestone or brick. I like to paint them as red little cobblestones. So they're spell effects. I printed them all in green, and my intention is to, let's get a different one. This one has the best. Like, this is the spell effect, and then there's the actual weapon and the string. I want to paint the brick to look like red cobblestones, and then leave all of this, that green color. I'll put a green shade in there to give it some areas of darkness, but then make the weapons like metallics, and like that's, you know, wood there, and then a shiny arrowhead. Good God. So that is what I'm going for here. So what I'd like to do is just step through each one and paint the black on all of them, and then paint the red on all of them. Assembly line sort of painting. So I very rarely get to do that. But I have a set, so I do. And I'm going to work on that. Because my pumpkins are done. And they look so cute! And I will share pictures in Discord of the pumpkins. And also Cerberus that I finished yesterday. Because I still haven't, I haven't actually taken a picture of him yet. I got him clear coated.
He is fun.
I love his big gut. I can't get over that tummy. That big fat tummy.
Thank you for the 25 bits,
Thank you,
Sunbaron.
Sunbaron. I like those dice now. This is definitely like one of my favorite models for Cerberus. I think he turned out great. And that belly, it just shows, he's well fed, man. Well fed. But I need to glue him down to his base, and then I'll get photos. I will share that in Discord as well.
Oh, Nate says noise gate doesn't work for me. Not for my typing, at least. Um, yeah, I don't know. That the best thing I can tell you is the default setting doesn't work for all of us on noise gate. You may have to play with your attack and close. It's called basically the start and the end of the sounds. You may have to play with them a lot. I know that's one of those settings that I spend like 20-25 minutes messing with every time I set it up anew. Well, that's not true because I go back and look at my old settings and start from there, so it's a little faster. But
Yeah, but the first time it was a lot of testing to get it right.
um, it says I don't even have a mechanical keyboard. I type on my wife's mechanical keyboard, and people say it sounds like an advancing robot army intent on destroying humanity.
So
I like it.
Sunbrand actually has one of those clickety click ones, and we'll be on the phone with each other, and I'll literally tell her either hang up with me or stop typing. One of the two, because I can't take it. I would absolutely. Ty's not allowed to have one of those, or he's not allowed to use it in my presence, and I work from home, so you're screwed. I cannot stand those mechanical ones. Oh, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them.
I like the way they sound, but they're kind of like single people say about kids. Like, you know what I love about being an uncle? I get to give them back. So I like hearing the mechanical keyboards and then not having it myself.
I can't stand them.
So Nate says Cerberus eats a lot of table scraps. Hades is a big softie with him. Yeah, my typing is so loud it can be heard across the house. I learned to type on an old IBM mechanical typewriter. I am very heavy typer. That's probably why I am too. Obviously, being a writer since my teen years, we didn't have a computer in the house and stuff, you know. Sunbury says, "What if there's a little fuzzy creature that cling to you in the scar because they are the bottom of the food chain and they attract larger creatures the more that stick to you?" It's like a living what are they called? Those cockaburrs? The little seed pods that stick to your clothes and dog fur and stuff like that. That is a really cool little idea, but this is fauna.
Yeah, but it's an asshole. It's literally going, "Hey, look over here, eat it, not me." That's an asshole. So this one I really like. It's a portal effect, and it's on this like springy string. And I've actually, when I was curing it, I propped something in here to cure it to where it would stay way up high. It just doesn't. It keeps shrinking back down. Oops, that's brown, not black. So I will be holding it up out of my way to paint, but make it a little more difficult for you to see.
So our recent notes down in minerals, we've added that there may be some really important things for adventuring careers rather, that may find things down there that help power them up. And then Sunbury just added about the little fuzzy creatures. We've got that in fauna. Like they are attracted to the body heat you have. Yeah, that makes cool
They're still assholes.
Feature too. They're fun assholes though if you think about it in game contents. Somebody says all my keyboards are mechanical. Yeah.
I know.
Nate says, talking to Sunburn about safety in numbers if you're bigger than them, so they look for protection and adventurers. Oh, we can add this as a note too. So you guys can add to each other's crowd forging. So we'll add this note as well. We have several things actually that are one person started the idea and then everybody jumps in and helps add a little bit to that idea.
That's what happens when someone has a good idea.
Yeah, what should happen when somebody has a good idea? Seed burrs. Yeah, I haven't heard them called that before.
I mean, it makes sense though.
Yeah, I mean that's what they are, but I'm trying to think of what they call. I haven't been out and gotten them on my clothes in so long. I think they're called cockaburros around. I could be conflating that with something else too. Nate says survival of the smartest. Yeah. Sunbearing says, but they are super cute, so the first explorers don't know they are jerks.
Yeah, I imagine too, for multiple reasons here. They probably have those big, puppy dog eyes. The reality is it's dark down there, so of course they have big eyes because the bigger, the animals
more
that
light.
see in the dark, they have those big eyes. So it makes them even more adorable, but it's a functionality thing. But yeah. Yeah, so it makes them super cute.
Nate says, wow, your resin has a lot more elasticity than mine does. So we use 3DRS.
This is actually not.
What is that? The Elegoo stuff?
This is the Elegoo brand resin, and I mean it's the. I wouldn't do what I'm doing with this that part for some reason is super elastic. I wouldn't bend this. I feel like it would break if I mean it can move, but I wouldn't pull it like I'm pulling this. It's just I think
don't
one,
get too you're gonna snap it because you're being a kind of like
no, I mean it's like I've got another one over here that you can see the difference in how flat it goes. I literally when it was uncured, I was pulling it to like I put clothespins in here. I use clothespins downstairs to hold people's orders along the rack so I can pull the order and get it going. So I just have clothespins sitting around, but I was using clothespins pinched in here to try to cure it to get it to stay like this, and just over a week's time it just went right back down again. So I think it's more about the way this piece was sculpted.
I got
it's
you.
Just really crazy to me how much
like
that
a
moves.
spring, yeah.
Yeah, it really is because it's that spring. I wouldn't pull on any other print like I'm pulling on this, but I've been messing with this for days now, so I know it's got a lot of movement in that, and I think it's more to do with the way the sculptor did the shape, like what Ty just said. It's spring.
So I'm going to say two things about Nate, everyone. First of all, Nate the Adventurer also streams. I was able to jump in on one of the streams. He's playing, I don't remember what game it is, and maybe you can type it in, but it's a guitar playing. You got to follow along with what they're playing.
Guitar Hero.
It wasn't Guitar Hero, though. It's a different one. He's actually using a real guitar. Rocksmith. So that's one thing. Check him out. That was fun.
Yeah, I've lurked on a few of them.
He takes what are you looking at?
Clouds.
Oh.
They're doing the bubble thing underneath.
Are they?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. I've heard that's super rare, but it happens all the time around here.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nate takes I can't even think of the damn word. Like you can ask for certain songs to be done.
Requests,
thank you. I need to go back to bed. I didn't sleep well last night. We talked about that.
Sorry, it was so funny.
And second, I'm going to say this about Nate too. I finally, after months, changed my settings, and on my CR10S4, I've used settings that were suggested to me by Nate the Adventurer when we met at CantCon. This is a filament printed tree, and it looks wonderful with these Fat Dragon settings for my Cura. I upgraded to Cura 5, and I updated my settings to start with those Fat Dragon settings. Yeah, you can see the one place where I had an issue was one of the supports just strung out an inch away from the damn branch. But other than that, it looks pretty good. And I know Dawn can still take that branch and chop around and carve on it.
Yeah.
And make it into something cool. So thank you, Nate.
Yeah, this looks phenomenal. It's Nate was the one that gave us a hut, and I literally had it sitting next to my resin prints at CantCon, and people would come over and like, oh, that's a really cool hut. And I'm like, yep, not resin. They're like, what? It was crazy.
Yeah, it's astonishing how smooth these prints are.
Didn't know it wasn't resin until he handed it to me, and it was like, oh, that's not resin because it's so much lighter. But the print quality was amazing.
Yes, and Nate also plays a lot of old computer games. So if you want to see retro games, you want to see some guitar playing, it's a fun stream to watch.
Yeah, yo.
Thank you for the settings, Nate. Digging it.
Yes.
I wish I would have had some time to mess with them before this. What was that? This week?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the next thing that's going to be printed is another dragon head because we have no dragon heads done.
Oh, no, big giant one? Big wall hanging dragon heads. They're fun. You just got one you got to finish painting. I don't know if it can go to one of the cons pretty soon or if it's too far off.
Oh no. That's a rough one for me.
Okay, so I switched over to dual, so watch your camera. Get a little less room that way. There you go.
It helps me to just shift my body to where this is where I need to be.
All right, so
this green paint is just a tone, a wash.
Oh.
So all it's going to do is, one, it helps make it shiny again, and two, it will it'll give me some depth in the creases, because like with this one, that's all I'm going to paint up here. I'm not adding any other paint to the top of it. I want it to stay translucent like that. So this one, it's the largest spell effect, but it'll actually be the simplest paint job because I'm just going to do the ground and this tone. I keep saying tone, it's a wash.
So the last thing we were forging were our Catharian Klingons that act like seed burrs or cockaburs. And thank you for the 30-bit Sunbury.
Thank you.
Boy, that's going to be... Oh, I bet.
I think it's going to start going
Will it overflow? No.
Oh,
it stayed in.
Perfect.
What?
That's perfect.
That's awesome. Anyway, yeah, our little sticky creatures that act like cockaburs and apparently
Our dicks.
look like what are the little furry guys called that everybody's afraid of? The big eyes. From the 80s or 90s. The little,
critters.
not critters, I mean the toy.
Oh, gremlins.
Oh, the toys.
Oh, Furbies.
Furbies! They're little Furbies.
Any of the things that I said would have worked.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Little Furbies that are sticking to your clothes and giving you
that makes it even
dog
more
eyes.
horrific now that I'm thinking of a Furby.
Furby. Critters, that's another good example. Yeah.
What I said.
Oh, you said critters?
That was the first thing I said was critters.
Sunbaron mentioned me. Yeah, I should have mentioned toy, I guess.
You did say toy, but I still went critters. Because those little critters. Just going to say that was the movie that made it to where I couldn't pee in the dark.
Because of the toilet scene. Even the poster had the toilet scene, right?
Yep. I literally had to turn on the light and check the toilet. Make sure nothing was going to come up and grab me and yank me. Or just bite my ass.
Okay. Let's get back to Mirror Scar here. So we for Flora, we've got some cool tree ideas. We have something I've been waiting to hear about. We'll have some of these in the dark carnivorous plants that are going to be fun. We have some delicacies from plants that apparently cook in the sunlight in the twin stars of Kethar. For fauna, I think I've always said there's going to be some sort of dinosaur type creatures in some places of the Scar. We just talked about our little fuzzy Klingons. For minerals, Nate brought in, how about, we have some materials that are going to help with people doing their spell-like work in their adventuring careers, right? And probably some other stuff, because we have other not adventuring but regular careers that make gems that are very special. Gems that capture the night sky, that sort of thing, and actually record almost like a video inside of the gem. So maybe we find ways that these gem makers are able to use these components too. Weather that obviously it's going to be very dangerous whenever the storm is near the canyon, which for, a third of its time is spent near the canyon, fueling back up. That was a Dawn thing there. And so it's very hot air that's kind of coming out of the canyon. So surrounding it, I would say the plane looks a little bit different there as well because of the warmer air.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the part about the storm getting charged up that Dawn mentioned. For legends, we've already got an idea for the storms would be intense along the western side that would quite possibly create tales of gods, good and evil fighting at the edge of the world. Absolutely love that. Culture, the nomads. This is a note for later, I think, when we focus in on the storm, that the nomads may have a test of adulthood by standing in the storm. So we're going to dive into that one a little. Dawn, I've been having you hold on to another legend / campfire story idea. About I made you wait too long, didn't I?
Forgot I was holding on to something.
We were talking about the plants, I believe, whenever I had your idea. I'm very sorry. We sort of
No, I mean, it happens.
Derailed.
Hmm.
Well, you try and think of that. If anybody else has any ideas in any of these categories, or if you have another categorical idea, we will add that too.
Had a couple of puddles. The easiest way to get rid of it. And all I did was block, so I didn't blow it onto other things.
Oh, I see. This is my desk.
That's what the mat is for.
Okay, well, you try and remember what your plant idea. I think we were actually talking about the different trees and stuff. Zate tree, we talked about that. First plant. Talking about the food, the one that's cooking in the sunlight.
Yeah, not coming back. It will. It's just not right now.
I'm going to add a note to Sunburin's self-cooking plant. That you don't really want to cook it until you're ready to eat it. So maybe there's some storage issues.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep it in the dark until you're ready to eat.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're in Mira's Scar, again, for anybody who's just hopping in, let me bring up the map again. So if you're in Mira's Scar, anywhere in here, with the exception at the very end, you're years away from any settlement. Probably the close, so there's the mining community right around here on the edge of the plain. But the nearest city after that, you're talking about years to get up here. Very big place, Cathar. Supermassive exoplanet. It is very large. And anybody that wants to learn more about it, let me go ahead and switch my... I'll switch... Actually, we'll share Dawn's stuff real quick. while you're painting, Dawn. Anyway, you've got a big leap in this piece anyway. Let me see if I can not disrupt us too much and bring up where you can go find out some more information on Crypt.net. Bottom of the screen.
I'm just putting the red brick down now. Gotta wait for that to dry up some more, so.
Oh, I already had that one on there. Oops. So yeah, cryptmonkey.net is where we're making things public as we can. And what I mean by that is we have subscribers on Patreon, so they get stuff first. And then a few months later, we share some of that cryptmonkey.net in the forecasts. You can learn more about the plane, more about Miradolal continent on planet Keth there as things are really. Like this map is out there. It's actually where I'm looking at right now whenever I share this with you guys at cryptmonkey.net right there. Excuse me.
Yeah, I do have to say it's a lot of fun to update the map. Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that for October because
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It seems like we should have done that this. I might be wrong about it. I can't remember when we added like Flumeton and Cathar's Tier and all that stuff.
Thought that was last month.
Oh, well then next month is when we should be doing it anyway.
Right, but I don't remember for sure.
That's a process, by the way. The way that we update the map is we actually go through our content that we've released to subscribers and the new place names that we've added through campfire stories or any short story information. The excerpt from the Longshore Courier will mention different places and people and stuff like that. And that's how we make our decisions on what gets added to the map.
Yeah.
Now this map is so big we can't add like every little town. It's kind of a world map, right?
Yeah.
But we add our biggest features.
We will be making smaller maps eventually, but we're not there yet. What's about the water lilies that Sunburn just said?
So Sunburn says something like blue water lilies that have a pollen that can make your skin chill when it detects danger. What? A psychic pollen. I like it. So the explorers can discover that it's a danger detector. That is a neat idea.
I could literally see them going down and gathering and then like having like, you know, you're riding a horse or something and you've got a potted plant sitting, you know, you're just riding your horse, you're holding a potted plant, just kind of watching the plant, watching the horizon, watching, oh shit.
That is a lot of fun. We can do some stuff with that. For sure. Something class oriented. Something
Herbalist.
Something adventure career oriented, right? I don't know. Yeah, so anybody new hanging out, we're crowd forging. Your ideas could be developed for the plane, is what we're calling the project right now, which is on the supermassive exoplanet Cathar. 3,000 years ago, Earth colonists landed here, and almost immediately, they were only here for about 25 or 30 years, and this big cataclysm occurred, which we'll be able to release information on that in the next couple of months too. That essentially put them back in the Stone Age. So people who were like, I don't know what's a good example. You know, maybe they were engineer in robotics or something, right? It's just they lost everything. So that guy may become a blacksmith or something like that in order to survive. So 3,000 years later, we're kind of in a Victorian era here on Earth, the Old West times kind of thing, with some medieval style features involved because gunpowder is not very prevalent at all.
No.
So, what destroyed knights in full armor and castle walls is cannonballs and bullets, and there's just not that much of that going on. Their highest tech for guns are actually magnetic rail weapons, which don't really do a lot to a castle wall, for instance. So they're still using them. You might see people that look like they're dressed for the Old West, but they're walking around in a city that's surrounded by medieval style rock walls. So it's a little different that way. Um,
Sorry, totally off screen.
and we are focusing right now on Mira's Scar, which is that giant canyon here on the southeastern edge of the plain. This whole discussion started too with the idea of, so you see the plateau in the middle. I know we have some new folks, that's why I'm kind of going back on some old information. The plateau is the only place they know that the Agdal plant grows. And so it's very hard life out there. There's a very specific kind of person who decides to go out and become an Agdal farmer. The Agdal is used as a narcotic. And it's a narcotic that in most places is a legal narcotic, and it has a little bit of medicinal use too. I shouldn't say a little bit. It's used medicinally and predominantly as a narcotic. So it's worth a lot because each plant takes up 50 feet of space and only grows 6 to 8 berries every season. And of the 6 to 8 berries, only 4 to 6 of those berries are usable for the drug. The last 2 berries are always for propagating the plant in the next growing season, rather. So it's a very rare / valuable commodity. It's probably the most valuable thing currently. Gold is just not a big deal. Gold is everywhere. We don't have much on gunpowder in the world. Can't really make that. You're missing some important materials to make gunpowder. It's hard to get that. But gold's a cinch, and that's actually going to be important in the future. But anyway, yeah. So the core of the economy for most places around the continent come from that Agdal berry. And the farmers go out there and they spend generations. That first farming family that goes out there, they know they're not going to be rich, but they also know that their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or great-great-grandchildren are going to decide to leave the plain, and they will be rich. They will be barons, essentially. Samiran says gadolinium. It's used here for MRIs. But what if the stone in the game can be used to, if you ingest some of the dust from it, it can repair broken bones? What? Yes, we're going to take a note on that. So that's going to go under minerals. I like that idea, Submarine. That's fun. Dawn, I'm sorry. I've got you back on dual just so you know you're off camera. I keep doing that to you.
I need to stay on camera.
Well,
I mean,
you got to
beyond
know
that,
when you are, right? I had us on the world map again.
well, I know the problem is I'm not even looking to see that I'm actually off camera. I'm just over here listening and painting and not paying attention to where I'm actually holding my... I'm pretty good about staying where I need to stay, and then I grab I switch between the spells, and I don't put my hand back where it's supposed to be, and I don't look to make sure I've put my hand back where it needs to be, sort of thing. It's my fault.
Yeah, that's fun. And we haven't, that, and we should maybe do that sometime too. Well, I guess we could do that in the form of adventuring classes, right? Adventuring careers, rather. So far, we have crowd forged Kern Medic. Is that it? Guess I can look at my notes.
Well,
No,
we did the
actually.
Stormkeeper, but that was just us working on that, right?
The Stormkeeper we did not crowd forge.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Kern Clan Medic we did.
I think that might be it. The Tailor we did.
Well, no, we didn't exactly. It is crowd forged, but we didn't focus on that one for a session. We have a whole session. That's why it's confusing. We did a whole session on adventuring classes. We'll probably do that again, especially as we get closer to more game development and stories are already written and released. So we've done a lot of general notes stuff, right? Well, I don't even remember. We've probably got like 30 or 40 pages of notes from CrowdForge. We've talked about the current clan medic. Now we're on Mira's Scar. We did Mining Town recently. Sailed Vehicles. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
The Web Guild, which is almost like talking about adventuring careers. We talked about the Web Guild because there's guilds all over the planet that, obviously unionize together to control their industries.
Yeah.
Adventuring classes and Lost Tech. That was another fun one.
That was a really fun one.
Nate says, I'm still here, just need to replace the FEP on my Saturn. Oh! So I will be really quiet. It developed a tiny little tear while I was cleaning it after a failed print. That sucks.
Yep.
We deal with that. It always seems like if we get, because we have so many machines, right? So if we get a tear on one machine, it just seems like there's going to be at least one other machine that needs FEP changed on it too.
Yeah, I actually just had to change, or I say that. It's funny because we had a FEP change that needed to happen, and we had a screen change that needed to happen. And I looked at time like, all right, are you changing the screen or changing the FEP? He's like, I'll take the FEP. And I'm like, the FEP's on the Jupiter. Like, you made the wrong choice.
Well, I still don't think I made the wrong choice because
I was done way faster.
You were done way faster, but I've never changed a screen yet on one of these machines. I've only
That's true.
assisted on one Saturn.
But it's so simple. I think you'd be able to do it. Just
maybe, but I've done like several times. I've done FEP, so I was much more comfy with doing FEP.
Yeah. That's one thing, though, is we've gotten much better about, there's a dent right there. The next thing that happens after a dent in FEP is a rip. Let's change it now so that we don't have a rip and a mess. Because that's actually why we had to change the screen. The mess that happened, the mess that incurred from the rip was so severe that we spent probably 2 weeks periodically working on trying to get the resin off, and we couldn't. It was done. So we had to change the screen. It was messed up.
I sort of went and checked when we can release the Cataclysm. It looks like next month we can release the Cataclysm. So that will be fun. That was actually Placement Advisor sent. Placement advisors are interesting. They're also they're one of the first adventuring classes that we started to work on. Excuse me. I don't think we've crowd forged anything on placement advisors, but they are interesting. They're like human computers sounds. Human supercomputers. How's that? They collect information, and once they have enough of that information, that almost makes them like soothsayers, in that they can see based on data from everything from wars to weather to crop amounts, and they take all of this data from all over the place, and they're able to figure the answer to questions out. Specific questions like, I'm a farmer, I'm leaving the plane, we've got this much money, we want to be Barons, we want to start our own town. Where should we do it? And the placement advisor will come back to them and say, all right, well, I figured out, it's going to take you 3 years before you're ready to leave the plane, and then another 12 years to travel to this place. But when you get to this place, lumber is going to be at an all-time high, and you can be a lumber baron there, that kind of thing. They're just really good at figuring out those mentats. Yeah. So Nate said oh, wait, I missed some other stuff. I'm sorry, Sunbearon. So Sunbearon says, what about a high efflorescence risk on any metal objects that enter the scar? It causes a coating that dulls weapons the longer you're in it. Oh, my. You are giving the GM great power right there. I like it. What do we think we think this is mineral or flora? Kind of seems like it could be a flora thing. Welcome back, Rock Fan. I'm going to put it in flora for now.
Just in time to witness the death of Sunbearon.
Self-imposed.
It's not nice.
That's why we play games, right? We want things to be difficult. Not impossible, but difficult to get over. All right, so Sunbearon says, what about a high efflorescence risk on any metal objects that enter the scar? It causes a coating that dulls the weapons the longer you're in there, and you're gonna be in there for a little bit. All right.
So I could see people specializing in, like, hey, make sure you take wood weapons down only, sort of thing too. So there is a way to fight against it.
Yeah, a proper cleaning maybe. Once you've figured out this problem, maybe you have some special oils you can use or something to help remove it. And resharpen your weapon.
I would think that there's probably some sort of mineral or plant down there that has a natural resistance to this buildup of whatever it is, that maybe you can farm that to coat your weapon to protect your weapon, sort of thing. So
yeah, that makes sense that it's going to have its own battle against that, maybe, right?
That's the one that I did with the cataract. So that thought process worked pretty well. So what I did was I painted the dark iris, but I left the center part kind of really, really light. And then I put this apothecary white contrast paint over it. And that definitely looks like a cataract eye to me.
Yeah, here, let me switch to the bigger one. Go.
I think that one turned out kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Too fast.
I love it. These are so much fun, these pumpkin heads.
Yeah. I like them this larger size.
Sunbearon, thank you for the
booms.
500. Here we go. Splash.
Oh, that is funny.
That was awesome.
I love watching that.
Nate says, my Mono X6 busted. There was a spike of geometry in the file I printed that I missed. Ooh, it popped the FEP and the screen cracked through the screen protector. Holy crap. $150 I don't have right now. I need to get commercial licenses so that I can make some money to cover this silly hobby. That's kind of how we started, right?
Yeah.
We started by saying, let's sell some of this so we can afford to buy more resin to make the things we want. And now we're buying bread.
I think that was like the worst experience I had was I printed a file that whenever, I was moving the carpet with my feet. Sorry.
What is moving down there?
I had a file that I was printing for my son. And when I went downstairs to collect the file after it was done, I had a solid block of resin. It just literally printed. Every single layer was a full sheet, and it just printed the entire vat as a solid block of
We could do that like 20,000 more times, though. We could build a
house.
3D printed house. Sort of. The bricks for the house. So, you know what? I'll do a recap here shortly because we do have a lot.
You just did a recap.
Did I just do one? Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
did a recap.
Don't
I'm
get mad at me when I do
Roxanne.
too many. But
You
I will. I'll go to the full world build screen and kind of slowly go through the notes without saying them while we're talking.
Say because we like literally like yeah. I'm sorry, Rock fan. I love you, baby, but we just did a recap.
So, Nate says, and this is in regards to the Florence risk on the metal objects. Nate,
Speaking of metal objects,
yeah, Nate says that would make any weapons down there obsidian bladed. Yeah, that might be another way to get around it, right? Is to use non-metal bladed weapons. So. Boom. Yeah, obsidian blades would probably be a way to fight against something that's a mineral eater. Yeah, glass weapons. That's one of my useless skills. You know that, huh, Dawn? That I know how to flint knap. And I learned to flint knap because it was easier to break some glass from like a bottle or something and learn how to shape it than it was to find flint at first, knowing I was going to mess up. So I learned to do it on glass, and then I learned to flint. All right, so yeah, that's pretty sweet. So Flora has been a really good one this morning. Got the ideas for bushes and trees and things that are going to be potentially a reason to go down here, right?
right.
And now we have a
The
reason.
self-cooking pot pie right there is enough reason for me to
Hot
go
pocket.
down.
It was somebody said hot pocket. It's like a self-sustaining hot pocket.
Hot pocket, yes. Sorry.
Rockfin says, a rock is a classic weapon. That's true. That can be another weapon that you can, a rock-ended club or.
So how many people just heard, I got a rock in their head?
Rock.
Of course, me, I thought, I got a rock, or you're dying because you got a rusty-ass weapon that's about to break. I brought a rock to a knife fight, and I won.
I will recap this, though, in case people are dipping in and out. As I was mentioning earlier, actually, I started saying this yesterday during the painting. Nate says, I thought a crick-knack. If we can get on one of these Sundays.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, we get on one of these Sunday crowd forging things and we have 5 or 6 people taking part, and whatever we will have planned, we will probably find a good exit out of whatever we're discussing to go into the storm, because it's going to be fun. The storm's idea originally was, I think, Sawdust Dragon crowd forge, a storm that's just going on and on and on. And after that, Dawn and I dropped it into this area. So the storm it's an ever-going storm that just travels around like this. It takes years to do it, but we get enough people jumping in on crowd forging, and we will develop that guy, which, as I said earlier, for the game side, it's pretty much going to be a dungeon scenario for tabletop. It's got its whole own thing going on inside of that storm.
Sorry, they're bringing out the pretty old vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
Not the, it's pretty old. It's pretty
And it's old.
We have a neighbor who has an old Model T that he drives around. That was an old Ford truck, but it was dropped real low and painted really bright blue. Sorry, so just caught my eye.
Yeah, the guy with the Model T has a. I don't know what that is, but it's
I don't even know what it is.
It's like a 1930s style car. I don't know if it's a kid or if it's an actual 1930s car, but it is cool, like an old rich person's car.
Well, to me, it looks like that. Like that 20s gangster kind of car.
Yeah, it's real long, but it's all car, and just a little bit is where you sit. It's pretty neat.
That one probably is my favorite. And they ride around. Although I've seen at one point I saw him teaching his grandson how to drive in it. I'm like, I am so jealous right now. I kind of want to go punt kick that kid.
No, the real long one we're talking about is not the Model A, Model T era. It's after that. It's more like you think about the you know what it's similar to is the Retroscape car on their latest book. Let me see if I can find that real quick, and then I
have it printed.
You want to just hold it up to the camera?
Yeah, I'll bring it.
Oh, you've got one 3D printed.
3D printed.
Yeah, it's similar to that. So very cool. No, they do have a Model T, but then this other car is I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a Chrysler or what. I've never actually gotten to walk up and look at it. It's more of I recognize the era of the car. You know what the car is. But yeah, Dawn's right. We 3D printed one. I don't even remember which modeler it is now. But it was like a month or two ago. That kind of matches that era. Neat. I love the little fuzzy balls. Yeah. That's the fun. Let me scroll up so you can read through that a little more, Rock Fan. What else can I recap for anybody that hasn't been on? We are going to be testing. I can't tell you exactly when because I need to go through the Fate system is what we're going to test first to see if it could work as an open license system that we can use for wrapping the plane over it. Right now I'm looking through a condensed version of Fate, and I still need to go and actually read through. I'm going to end up probably stopping on condensed and reading through core. And they also have a system toolkit that helps developers like me hack the Fate system. So I'm kind of excited about it if it works well. You can't find it?
No.
Did we ship it off to somebody?
No, I know. I printed it for Jake. So I have it sitting there, and it's probably packed with the convention stuff so that I can bring it, make sure I have it with me for Jake.
Never far from a Retroscape. On the back of this.
There you go. That's right.
It's similar to that.
Oh,
in the picture. Let me go to the paints. Oh, you want to go to yours?
Yeah, let's go to this one. It's better.
So it's a car similar to that. Obviously, this is a made-up car with a big crazy engine, but
it looks really, really similar to that.
It's like that, but it's convertible, and I think it's a two-seater. I
believe so, yeah.
So, but it's kind of like that era. Yeah, we're showing the front of the book. It's got nothing to do with the...
No.
So we're patrons of the Retroscape game from
Parlor
Gaming.
It is so much fun. I love it. But I want to keep it safe from paint, baby.
Oh yeah.
What are you reading?
I where am I at? You mean? Let me go back here to okay. Anna. What about an ore in the scar? Sunmirren says that is buoyant on water. Like a pumice kind of thing, something, right?
And we were developing that concrete too.
Yeah, so I know some of you may have been around. I'm not sure. On Wednesday, we did our makeup of last Sunday, and we were crowd forging. Let me get this note real quick. We were crowd forging a new mining town, which the towns are fun. We got Longshore out of let's just say we have a town and it's on a lake. And now it's a big, important city in the world. But the mining town, I think, was Rockfan's idea, right? That what
Yeah.
instead of like some gold-like material or a diamond-like material, no, they found a new building material which is super lightweight concrete. And we determined so far that at least two of the important materials they were originally there because they found, oh, there's this underground source of fulgurite where an old lake bed used to be, apparently, that they lightning strikes apparently happened a lot there. And when they were finding that, then they discovered the volcanic material as well. And those two things together make this really strong, lightweight concrete.
Super fine detail. So take it easy.
We'll see. Nate asks, are you talking about Mapleathon? Are we talking about it? Or did you mention it?
Oh, I said because I have it packed away with con supplies so that I can bring it to Jake.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so Mapleathon. Ooh, what did I clicked on something? Whoops.
Oh, god damn it!
Oh, hello, Lashigu. Got Dawn better than me, but you got me too. So
I'd be really good.
check out Retroscape if you haven't. They're still developing it. They're way far along on this game though. It's a lot of fun. That's parlor gaming.
To answer your question, Nate, we have 2 cons at the end of the month.
Yes.
We have the same weekend. We've got Meeplathon and we've got Archon. So I'm referring to both, really.
Right, yeah.
Because at the moment the con supplies are all just one thing.
Yeah, we're actually trying to. We got to look at our inventory.
We've got to figure that out. Yeah, that's basically when we're finished here today. We're going to be pulling all of that out and figuring out what we've got and what we need, because
it's funny being successful enough online. It's made it difficult for inventory stuff for going to conventions.
Yeah.
Rockman says, I mean, the era there is useful materials that will keep you alive just seem more important, valuable than minerals that are just for decorating. A little lost on that.
I think they were, because of what they were talking about with the fulgurite and I think they're bringing it back.
Yeah. Well, and I think we talked about that Wednesday too, that I love the fact that we worked on essentially a building material as opposed to a spell material type thing or a special gun or blade thing or whatever. You know, those things are obviously fun. We obviously have those things, but much like the Agdal berry, this is now going to be a really important new, brand spanking new thing that really only rich people get a hold of, right? Because it's only mined and developed in this community. Pretty cool.
Which eventually will make this community extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, it could rival.
And the people, the 1 or 2 barons that are going to be controlling the area, it's already important to them, right? But it could rival what? Like
Agdal.
The what?
The Agdal.
Oh, the Agdal plant. Yeah. Even though we're starting with that core piece of the economy, right? The Agdal berry is super important because they make the juice out of it or what. That doesn't mean that through the life of our story that is the most valuable thing, right? My window's got all kinds of goofy. I'm looking. Somehow I got on my my game research over here. Dude. So we could still bounce around any ideas that people have that they want to talk about as potentially important for Mira's Scar. Have at it. We only talked a little bit about weather. If anybody has any specific weather ideas. Actually, the weather we talked about isn't even in the canyon, right? So what Nate mentioned earlier is the important thing, which that big storm on the western side of Mira's Scar, that whenever it slurps up next to Mira's Scar and starts traveling north along the canyon edge, and it's feeding off of the heat coming out of the canyon, as Dawn added. Coming up on that eastern edge of the canyon is going to be a wicked experience as well. Culture, the only thing we've talked about, which I mean, it's hard to bring any culture into it yet, right? Is the note that you made for the nomadic group potentially having that test of adulthood standing in the storm.
Which I'm kind of more imagining them standing with their back to the storm going, okay, 5 more seconds. No, I'm done. And running, like, because they're waiting for it to be approaching them. And how long can you stand without being there, That's kind of more what I'm imagining.
Sort of like the Village.
Oh yeah, that's exactly where I got it from. Yeah,
where the kids are standing with their backs to the forest.
Yeah, how long can I stand being here and not knowing what's behind me? So
they're not even going in it. Not even this group.
No, they're not going in it. They're just putting their back to it and seeing how long can you stand there before you run.
That doesn't mean they don't get caught up in it. Somebody that's just they're stupidly brave and they're in it then, right?
Yeah.
So that's how adventurers could still find out there's something going on in there that people don't realize it's happening in there. All you see is the big storm from the outer edge, Rockfan says, I mean, canyons must have crazy winds and dust devils. Oh, dust devils too, yeah. Yeah, the winds make a lot of sense, like even if you're standing up on top, right? Because that heat coming up out of the canyon is going to be severely impacting what's going on just outside of the canyon.
What if the dust devil is sentient?
Excuse me. Let me get Rockfan's note real quick.
So it's not exactly a dust devil, but there's literally something like a Tasmanian devil inside of it spinning that's creating it. So that's what's actually sentient is a thing inside.
You're saying a creature.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to make a... Okay.
No, I want to make a sentient dust devil, but I'm saying we can also do it either way. I'm good with it.
We can develop it one way or the other. For right now, I'm going to put it in weather, and we can think about how that might work.
Okay.
Because we haven't made any rules about any sentient life on this planet at all yet.
No.
I think we have some ideas. We haven't said this is true and this isn't. Yeah, I like that. Rockfan says, I was also thinking with the heat, a lot of animals that glide on heat drafts. Yeah. Maybe that's the... I don't know. You can kind of go in a couple of different ways with that, right? Because maybe you're standing up on the canyon and you see just every once in a while something pops up out of the darkness and then dips back down into it. It's gliding on the heat.
Okay. I'm not going to say that's a bad idea, but to Nate, I was waiting for you to finish. I'm sorry.
No, I'm reading it. So
Okay.
Nate says the creature in the middle of the little dust devil could generate the winds through some specific food source that it has, and it
So
cannot control the cyclonic winds.
so I immediately went to it eats a lot of beans because I'm two.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it in weather, but we'll develop that however it comes out, right?
Yeah.
It's funny how we come up with things too, right? I know we're saying there's a little creature in there, but we could still find something else sourcing food that's not fauna exactly, or it's a new kind of fauna. I don't know.
These are so flippin' cute. Sure. And I have my arrow.
I love these spell effects. They're a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
And so that's 4 of them. Excuse me. And the only thing else I want is a little bit of foliage.
Switch it to the smaller one, just see. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Rockman says, so this is an environmental thing. If it's really hot, looking into parts of the canyon can cause distortion in the air, making it hard to judge distances and depths. I would say that, yeah, certainly parts
Absolutely.
like excuse me, the areas that Nate added earlier, where we have geysers and things like that really affecting the temperature of the canyon, that you can get sort of that, well, two effects, right? A, you can get that objects are closer or farther away than they appear, or
Get that.
or a mirage,
Mm-hmm.
that a mirage effect too, right? Yeah, this is going to be, if you think about it, because I've already let slip. I let everybody know that the this big everlasting storm is sort of like an above ground dungeon going on. So is this. The intention of Mira's scars also to be massive dungeon of environment. So good that we have lots of mixed ideas about this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Lashigo Game says it could also be a sandworm with giant teeth that creates the dust storm tornado to capture its prey. Once it stops the tornado, its victims drop, leaving it defenseless, and it can eat them. Oh, that's mean. I like it. Again, because we're still associating this with the dust devils, I'm going to leave it in weather, but we'll figure out some. This is something that's going to get developed, right?
Well, and I'm almost thinking that here's the thing is one of the things that might actually be really fun to do with this is all of these things are happening. So there's a dust devil that is the sandworm. There's a dust devil that has a creature in it. There's a dust devil that's just dust devil. And there's a dust devil that is a sentient dust devil. So it's almost like sort of a mimic sort of idea of you can see that dust devil, but you have no idea what it actually is.
What if the dust devil is or will it be like pseudo parasitic or something? It's a sentient dust devil following the sandworm to get its leavings. You know, it helps get the sandworm food, and then it eats
It's a
whatever the
pilot fish.
sandworm does. Yeah, we're like a pilot fish, right?
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Is like all of these things could be true.
Rock fan's got to pop off. Thanks for hanging out again.
See you later.
Rock fan. Okay. Add your note to. Oh.
An arrow. Didn't do an at. Did the spear. Already done one of these. That completes. Now,
Fun. That is fun. And a sandworm thing is one of those things that it's down in the canyon. We can really use it as this is a big boss fight thing, right?
yeah. Absolutely.
Terrifying. Terrifying.
So, I have finished all of the pumpkins. Let me see how easily these. Oh, really easily. That's awesome. Okay, so the idea of the stick works wonderfully. These just pop right off, and then I just have that little dot right there to fix.
A lot.
Just a dot. So that is definitely how I'm going to be. Okay, so some of them have a little bit bigger of a space because I put too much glue on there, but be more careful next time. So we finished 4 pumpkins and 4 spell effects.
Who are the spell effects from? Did we even talk about that?
This is all dragon trappers.
Oh, okay.
So nice and simple.
Spell effects and the pumpkin heads are all from
dragon
dragon
trappers.
trappers.
And on our Etsy page, this size of the... I got a little bit too much glue on that one. This size of the pumpkin is the larger size. We offer the standard size, which is itty bitty pumpkins.
Yeah, the ones that make sense to your 28.
Yeah.
Mil scale, I think.
But these are the larger size pumpkins. I wanted to paint the larger ones.
Yeah, it's better on stream, right?
We finished all of our 4 of our spell effects.
Which reminds me, I do need to figure out this Nikon so we can get our close-ups that we're talking about.
So, pumpkins, spell effects, and then these 3 spells finish off the set spell. We finished all of that already.
That's a bunch.
Crazy, right? I love this little guy.
And we have crowd forged like crazy today. Love it.
He's
Yeah,
so
there you
cute.
go. That's pretty...
I love those teeth.
You moved it. It almost looked like his eye moved.
I know, right? And then cataract eye. Because he's all beat to hell anyway. And then this one's just got his teeth coming out. A couple of little ones. He's so grumpy. He's so grumpy. And then there are, like, this is another version of it. And you can see I still need to clean the supports out in the teeth. But I'll do that before I paint. And there's this guy. And then, let's see. Nope, that's that one. That's that one. This one's different. He's got an underbite, a whole bunch of teeth.
Sunburn, thank you for the 26
bits.
bits. Oh, yeah, it's getting ready for Halloween here. Oh, that's going to overflow. They are too big.
I think that's all of them. There's other versions. I just don't have them all printed on here.
Only one fell. Thank you for the 29 bits, Sunburn.
She wants to overflow it.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
It's funny how some of them sit on top.
Yeah, right? I didn't know they would do that. Sunbear, thank you for the 500 bits. That's going to be a
That's
big
gonna
boom.
be a big boom.
What?
Fill it up and empty it out. Fill it up and empty it out. So,
thank you so much.
Oh,
I told you were going to go too far. I knew you were going to go too far.
I was doing it too much.
Now you got to borrow glue from somebody.
I have glue. Literally have glue right here.
I told you were going to do that.
You did.
Just
you
knew
did.
it.
I knew I was going to
push it too far.
I was going to eat the camera. It's like rah, rah, rah. Anyway, I think we're at a good stopping point for today.
Yeah, let me reiterate a couple of things because I'm excited.
I'm going to glue.
Yeah. Well, first of all, on Saturdays, right now our Saturdays have become what Tuesday was. It's our painting day, but we want to replace that with the tabletop pregame show on Saturday. So before everybody's going out to their tabletop games on Saturday night, we want to get them pumped up with, mainly we're going to talk about miniatures. We'll talk a little bit about gaming too, but mainly we're going to talk about miniatures that we know we have coming, in the coming months, and any changes in the miniature world news, that kind of stuff. So kind of like a little talk show about this is headed our way, right?
Yes.
So that's going to be fun. We're going to get ready for that, and it's going to be at least a couple of weeks before we are.
Yeah, next weekend, we'll definitely be painting. I've got my little raptor disguising himself as a turkey that I'm going to be painting. I've got my little costume guy here, which technically he's not in a costume. I thought he was, but it's actually just a cardboard fighter.
It's pretty neat either way.
Either way, yeah. So I've got those two that I'm maybe painting next weekend. But what I'm hoping is the following weekend we will start our pregame show.
But we won't be painting next Saturday because we're doing a garage sale.
Yes, that's right.
So we'll be back Sunday next weekend.
And I'll paint those on Sundays.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the garage sale.
Kind of forgot about it earlier when we were talking about what you were going to do on next Saturday. But yeah, so Sunday we'll be back for crowd forging and painting.
Yes.
But Saturdays, like I said, they will become in the coming weeks. We're going to switch over to the tabletop pregame show.
I'm hoping not next. Oh, wait. Okay,
we've
so
got
that's
a con.
completely
It'll
wrong.
be in October.
It'll be in October because next weekend we're going to be doing the garage sale. The weekend after that we have a convention, so we'll be gone.
Two conventions.
We won't be streaming on Saturday or Sunday. The weekend that we come back, that's going to be my hope that we'll be doing the pregame show that weekend.
Yeah, that'd be great if we get ready for it by then.
That's the plan.
So there's that. Also, I don't have any date or anything yet because I have to learn the fate system and which fate system we're going to test first. But we will do probably outside of our normal stream. We'll do one evening. I don't know when yet, but we're going to actually play test the fate system on the plane in a very remedial way. I'm not going to make any adjustments to the system yet or anything.
No, it's just basic tests so we can see, does this make sense?
But rather than just, it's fun to test it on our own, but we're planning on streaming that too, so that'll be fun.
Come watch me die.
So, what else? I feel like I'm missing something.
It's because there's so much and
there's a lot going on right now.
There's a lot going on and
new stuff coming out in the coming months that'll be made public. If you're interested in getting more involved, you don't have to. We're perfectly happy for people to crowd forge and just crowd forge. But if you want to get involved a little bit more and get information on the plane even earlier, we do have a Patreon. So you can check that out. You can find that from cryptmonkey.net in the hub section. And on top of that, you can get more information on cryptmonkey.net about the plane in the form of our posts for flora, fauna, geography, all kinds of stuff there. I can't think of anything else.
No.
Which means there's probably really important things we're skipping.
It's okay. We'll cover it next time.
Thank you guys for crowd forging today.
Yes, that was fun. And we will see you on Sunday next weekend.
Yep. And check out our Discord for other information, blah, blah,